Today, I want to take you on a journey into one of the most fascinating, untold stories in history, the story of the world's greatest prison escapee. When we hear the word escape, we imagine someone breaking chains, climbing walls, or running through dark tunnels. But the greatest prison escape in history was not only about escaping from a physical prison. It was about escaping fear, hopelessness, and the limits that society places upon us. The man at the center of the story was imprisoned under impossible conditions. High walls surrounded him. Guards watched every movement. The world believed he would never be free again. Yet what made him extraordinary was not his strength, but his mindset. While others lost hope, he studied. While others complained, he planned. Every single day, he prepared himself mentally for freedom long before he ever touched the prison gates. He understood one powerful truth. Every prison is first built in the mind. Months turned into years. People forgot his name, but he never forgot who he was. He used patience as a weapon and intelligence as his tool. Instead of rushing blindly, he waited for the perfect moment. Then one stormy night, the impossible happened. Without violence, without chaos, and without anyone noticing at first, he disappeared from the most secure prison in the world. The guards searched everywhere. Authorities launched investigations. Newspapers called it a miracle. But it was not luck. It was preparation meeting opportunity. What makes this story truly powerful is what happened after the escape. He did not spend his freedom seeking revenge. Instead, he dedicated his life to helping others escape their own prisons of fear, poverty, failure, and self-doubt. And that is why his story still matters today. Because many of us are prisoners in ways we do not even realize. Some are trapped by fear of failure. Some are trapped by negative opinions. Some are trapped by the belief that they're not good enough. The greatest lesson from this untold story is simple. Freedom begins in the mind. The moment you believe change is possible, the walls around you begin to crack. So today, I challenge all of you. Identify the prison that is holding you back. Is it fear? Is it laziness? Is it doubt? And once you find it, begin your escape, step by step, day by day. When people hear the word prison, they usually imagine high concrete walls, locked metal gates, security cameras, and guards watching every move. A prison is often seen as a place where freedom is physically taken away. However, the untold story of the world's greatest prison escapee teaches us that the most difficult prisons are not always built with bricks and iron. Many prisons exist inside the human mind and heart. The escapee in this story was surrounded by walls, but the real battle was happening within him. Every day, he faced loneliness, fear, hopelessness, and uncertainty. Many prisoners around him lost the will to dream because they believed their situation would never change. Over time, they accepted their suffering as permanent. This mental defeat became a stronger prison than the locked cells around them. What made this escapee different was his refusal to let his mind become imprisoned. Even when his body was trapped, his thoughts remained free. He continued to imagine a better future. He trained himself to stay mentally strong despite the harsh conditions around him. Instead of allowing despair to control him, he chose discipline, patience, and hope. This idea connects deeply to our everyday lives. Many people today are not locked behind bars, yet they still live like prisoners. Some are trapped by fear of failure. Others are trapped by poverty, negative thinking, anxiety, or the opinions of society. A student may feel imprisoned by pressure and expectations. A worker may feel trapped in a job they hate. Someone who has failed in the past may build invisible walls around themselves and stop believing in their abilities. These invisible prisons are dangerous because they are harder to recognize. Physical chains can be seen, but mental chains often go unnoticed. People may smile on the outside while secretly feeling stuck, powerless, or afraid inside. Over time, these fears become barriers that stop people from chasing opportunities and achieving their true potential. The story reminds us that freedom does not begin when a door opens. Freedom begins the moment a person decides not to surrender mentally. The escapee understood that if he allowed hopelessness to control his thoughts, then he would already be defeated, even before attempting to escape. That is why he protected his mindset carefully. He fed his mind with determination instead of fear. Another important lesson from this point is that external circumstances do not always define a person's future. Two people can face the same difficult situation, yet one gives up while the other rises stronger. The difference often lies in their mindset. The prison escapee proved that human strength is not measured only by physical power, but by mental endurance and emotional resilience. His story also teaches the importance of self-belief. Society may label someone as weak, broken, or hopeless, but no label can truly imprison a person unless they accept it themselves. The escapee refused to let others decide who he was. Even in captivity, he continued to believe that his story was not over. This makes the story powerful and inspiring because it becomes more than just an escape story. It becomes a symbol of human courage and inner freedom. It encourages people to look beyond physical barriers and recognize the mental obstacles that limit their lives. The greatest message hidden within the story is that the human mind has the power either to imprison us or to set us free. One of the most powerful lessons in the story of the world's greatest prison escapee is that his success did not come from physical strength alone. It came from his mindset. While many people around him lost hope and accepted defeat, he trained his mind to remain focused, calm, and determined. His greatest weapon was not force, but the way he thought during the darkest moments of his life. A person's mindset shapes how they react to challenges. In prison, every day was designed to break his spirit. The harsh environment, strict rules, isolation, and constant pressure were meant to make prisoners feel powerless. Most people in such conditions begin to believe they have no control over their future. Once a person loses hope mentally, escaping becomes almost impossible because the desire to fight disappears. The escapee understood this danger clearly. He realized that before escaping physically, he first needed to protect his mind from surrendering. Instead of allowing fear to dominate his thoughts, he developed mental discipline. He controlled his emotions carefully and refused to let anger, panic, or despair weaken him. This mental control helped him survive situations that would have destroyed many others emotionally. His mindset was built on hope and belief. Even when there was no visible chance of freedom, he continued to believe that escape was possible. That belief gave him strength to keep planning and preparing. Without hope, people often stop trying. They become comfortable with failure and begin to see limitations as permanent. The escapee rejected that way of thinking completely. Another important part of his mindset was patience. Many people fail because they want immediate results. They act emotionally and make rushed decisions. The escapee, however, understood that success sometimes requires waiting for the right opportunity. He spent years observing patterns, studying weaknesses in the prison system, and preparing every small detail carefully. This patience showed extraordinary mental maturity. His intelligence also played a major role. He did not rely on reckless actions or violence. Instead, he used observation, strategy, and careful thinking. Every move he made was calculated. He paid attention to routines, guard behavior, timing, and hidden opportunities that others ignored. This ability to think clearly under pressure separated him from ordinary prisoners. The story demonstrates how mindset influences human endurance. The body can become tired, but the mind decides whether a person continues or gives up. During difficult times, many people face mental exhaustion before physical exhaustion. The escapee trained himself to stay mentally strong even when conditions became painful and hopeless. He treated challenges as problems to solve instead of reasons to quit. This lesson applies far beyond prison walls. In everyday life, people face struggles in education, careers, relationships, and personal growth. Some people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lose confidence too quickly. Fear of failure, criticism, and rejection can trap individuals mentally. A negative mindset convinces people that success is impossible before they even try. The escapee story teaches that a strong mindset can transform impossible situations. A determined mind searches for solutions instead of excuses. It remains focused even during setbacks. People with powerful mindsets are often able to achieve extraordinary things because they refuse to be controlled by fear or negativity. Another important quality in his mindset was resilience. Resilience means the ability to recover after disappointment or hardship. The escapee likely faced failed attempts, setbacks, and moments of deep frustration. Yet he continued moving forward. He understood that failure is not the end unless a person decides to stop trying. This resilience gave him the strength to continue preparing for freedom despite years of suffering. The story also highlights the connection between mindset and self-identity. Many prisoners allowed prison to define who they were. The escapee did not. He refused to see himself only as a prisoner. In his mind, he remained a free person temporarily trapped by circumstances. That inner identity gave him emotional strength and prevented the prison from controlling his spirit completely. His success proves that mindset often determines outcomes more than circumstances do. Two people may face the same hardship, but one breaks while the other grows stronger. The difference lies in how they think, what they believe, and how they respond to pressure. The escapee succeeded because he mastered his thoughts before he mastered his environment. This idea is especially important in modern life. Today, many people are surrounded by distractions, negativity, and pressure. Some lose motivation after small failures, while others become trapped by self-doubt. The story reminds us that mental strength is one of the most valuable qualities a person can develop. A strong mindset creates persistence, confidence, and courage even during difficult times. The world often celebrates physical achievements, but this story reveals the hidden power of the human mind. The escapee's true victory began long before he escaped the prison walls. It began the moment he decided that his spirit would remain unbroken no matter how difficult life became. One of the greatest lessons in the story of the world's greatest prison escapee is that success was not the result of luck. Many people looked at his escape and called it a miracle, believing that he was simply fortunate. However, the truth was very different. His escape was the result of years of preparation, careful planning, observation, and discipline. What appeared to others as sudden success was actually the outcome of consistent effort hidden behind the scenes. In many situations, people underestimate the importance of preparation because they only notice the final result. They see success happening in one moment, but they do not see the long process that made that moment possible. The prison escapee understood that freedom could not depend on chance alone. He knew that one careless mistake could destroy everything. That is why he prepared himself mentally, emotionally, and strategically long before attempting to escape. Preparation gave him control over uncertainty. Prison was an environment filled with danger and unpredictability. Guards watched constantly, rules were strict, and failure could lead to severe punishment. In such conditions, acting without preparation would have been reckless. Instead of rushing impulsively, he spent time studying every detail around him. He carefully observed routines, schedules, guard movements, weak points in security, and changes in the environment. While others wasted time complaining about their situation, he used his time to gather knowledge. This level of preparation required patience and discipline. Many people become frustrated when success takes time. They want quick results and immediate rewards. The escapee understood that meaningful achievements often require long periods of silent effort. Day after day, he prepared himself even though no one noticed his progress. He accepted that preparation is often invisible, but still necessary. Another important part of preparation was self-control. The escapee had to avoid attracting attention. He could not allow emotions like anger, excitement, or frustration to expose his plans. This required tremendous discipline. He trained himself to remain calm and focused even under pressure. His emotional preparation was just as important as his physical planning because fear and panic can ruin even the best strategy. Preparation also helped him build confidence. Confidence does not appear magically. It grows when a person practices, studies, and becomes ready for challenges. Because the escapee spent years preparing, he trusted his abilities when the critical moment arrived. If he had depended only on luck, fear would likely have overwhelmed him. But preparation gave him clarity and courage because he had already imagined and analyzed possible situations in advance. The story teaches an important truth about life. Luck may create opportunities, but preparation allows people to use those opportunities successfully. Many individuals wait passively for success, hoping that good fortune will change their lives. However, opportunities often pass unnoticed when people are unprepared to take advantage of them. The escapee did not simply wait for freedom to arrive. He prepared himself continuously so that when the right moment finally appeared, he was ready to act. This lesson can be applied to education, careers, sports, business, and personal goals. Students who prepare consistently perform better during exams. Athletes train for years before winning championships. Successful entrepreneurs study markets, build skills, and learn from failures before achieving recognition. In every field, preparation creates the foundation for success. The story also reveals that preparation often involves sacrifice. While others may relax or give up, prepared individuals continue working quietly toward their goals. The escapees sacrificed comfort, rest, and emotional peace in order to stay focused on his mission. He understood that freedom required effort, not excuses. This willingness to endure hardship separated him from those who remained trapped both physically and mentally. Another powerful aspect of preparation is its connection to problem solving. During his imprisonment, the escapee likely faced obstacles and unexpected difficulties. Instead of becoming discouraged, he treated each challenge as part of the process. Preparation allowed him to think ahead and adapt when situations changed. He understood that no plan is perfect, but preparation increases the ability to respond wisely under pressure. The escapee story also challenges the common belief that talented people succeed effortlessly. In reality, success is rarely effortless. Behind every remarkable achievement are countless hours of unseen preparation. People often admire the final victory without recognizing the discipline, failures, and persistence that came before it. The escapee became extraordinary not because life was easy for him, but because he prepared himself relentlessly despite difficult circumstances. Preparation also creates resilience. When people prepare thoroughly, they are less likely to give up during challenges because they understand the process deeply. The escapee knew that setbacks and delays were part of his journey. Instead of losing hope after difficulties, he continued improving his strategy patiently. His preparation made him mentally stronger and more capable of handling pressure. The story highlights another important truth. Small actions repeated consistently can lead to major results. The escapee's freedom was not built in one day. It was built through small observations, careful thinking, daily discipline, and continuous planning over time. These small efforts eventually combined to create an extraordinary outcome. In modern life, many people focus only on visible success while ignoring preparation. Social media often shows achievements but hides the hard work behind them. This creates unrealistic expectations, causing people to become discouraged when success does not come quickly. The prison escapee story reminds us that lasting success is usually earned slowly through preparation and persistence. His journey proves that luck alone cannot sustain success. Luck may open a door briefly, but preparation determines whether a person can walk through it successfully. The escapee succeeded because he respected the importance of planning, discipline, patience, and readiness. He transformed preparation into his greatest advantage and showed that true success belongs to those who are willing to prepare long before the world notices their efforts. One of the deepest and most meaningful lessons in the story of the world's greatest prison escapee is that true freedom begins in the mind long before it appears in reality. Although his body was trapped behind prison walls, he refused to allow his thoughts, dreams, and identity to become imprisoned. This mental freedom became the foundation of his eventual physical escape. Many prisoners around him lost hope over time. The harsh environment, constant control, and endless routine slowly destroyed their belief in freedom. Some stopped dreaming about life outside the prison because they felt powerless to change their situation. Once they accepted defeat mentally, the prison no longer needed chains to control them. Their hopelessness became stronger than the walls around them. The escapee understood something that many people fail to realize. the mind can either become a prison or a source of freedom. If a person constantly believes they are weak, trapped, or incapable, they begin to live according to those beliefs. Even if opportunities appear, fear and self-doubt prevent them from taking action. The escapee refused to let this happen to him. Even in confinement, he continued to see himself as a free person who was temporarily trapped by circumstances, not permanently defeated by them. Mental freedom gave him strength to survive emotionally. Prison was designed to break human spirits by creating fear, dependence, and hopelessness. Day after day, prisoners were reminded of their limitations. However, the escapee protected his thoughts carefully. He continued imagining a future beyond the prison walls. He held on to his dreams even when there was no guarantee they would come true. This ability to maintain hope under extreme conditions showed extraordinary inner strength. Another important aspect of mental freedom is self-belief. The escapee believed that his life still had value and purpose despite his imprisonment. Many people in difficult situations begin to define themselves by their failures or circumstances. They allow society, criticism, or past mistakes to determine their identity. The escapee rejected this mindset completely. He refused to let the prison decide who he was. This lesson applies strongly to everyday life because many people today are mentally trapped even while living in complete physical freedom. Someone may have the ability to pursue education, build a career, or follow their dreams, yet fear prevents them from trying. Others become trapped by negative opinions, painful past experiences, or the belief that they are not capable enough. These invisible mental prisons limit people more than physical barriers often do. Mental freedom means having the courage to think beyond limitations. It means refusing to allow fear, failure, or negativity to control your identity. The prison escapee understood that if his mind remained strong, then his situation could still change. But if he surrendered mentally, then even an open door would not truly free him because hopelessness would still control his life. The story also demonstrates the power of imagination and vision. Long before he escaped physically, the escapee imagined freedom repeatedly in his mind. He pictured himself outside the prison walls and believed that another life was possible. This vision gave him motivation during painful and discouraging moments. Human beings often move toward the reality they constantly focus on mentally. By holding on to the image of freedom, he strengthened his determination to achieve it. Mental freedom also helped him resist emotional destruction. In difficult environments, anger, bitterness, and despair can easily consume a person. The escapee chose not to let hatred control him. Instead, he focused his energy on survival, planning, and hope. This emotional discipline protected him from becoming mentally broken by his surroundings. Another important lesson is that mental freedom creates resilience. Resilient people are able to continue moving forward despite setbacks and suffering because they believe challenges are temporary rather than permanent. The escapee likely experienced moments of fear, disappointment, and frustration. Yet he continued preparing because mentally he had already accepted that freedom was possible. His thoughts remained stronger than his circumstances. The story reveals that physical conditions do not always determine a person's inner state. Throughout history, many individuals have remained mentally strong despite imprisonment, poverty, hardship, or oppression. At the same time, many people living comfortable lives still feel trapped internally because of anxiety, insecurity, or lack of purpose. This shows that true freedom is not only about location or external conditions, it is deeply connected to the state of the mind. Mental freedom also inspires creativity and problem-solving. Because the escapee refused to accept defeat mentally, his mind remained active and observant. He searched constantly for possibilities, weaknesses, and opportunities. A hopeless mind often stops searching for solutions, but a free mind continues exploring ways to overcome obstacles. His mental independence allowed him to think strategically even in a controlled environment. The escapee story encourages people to examine the invisible prisons in their own lives. Some people are trapped by fear of rejection. Others are trapped by social pressure, negative thinking, or memories of past failures. These mental barriers can become so powerful that individuals stop growing, learning, or taking risks. The story reminds us that change begins internally before it appears externally. Another powerful idea connected to mental freedom is responsibility. The escapee understood that he could not control every circumstance around him, but he could control his mindset and reactions. This sense of personal responsibility helped him maintain strength during difficult times. Instead of wasting energy blaming others endlessly, he focused on preparing himself for future opportunities. The story ultimately shows that freedom is first a psychological state before it becomes a physical reality. The prison escapee escaped mentally long before he escaped physically. He broke the chains of hopelessness, fear, and surrender inside his mind first. That inner freedom gave him the courage, patience, and determination needed to pursue real freedom beyond the prison walls. One of the most important reasons the world's greatest prison escapee succeeded was his extraordinary patience. In a place where fear, frustration, and desperation controlled many people, he understood that acting too quickly could destroy everything. Instead of allowing emotions to guide his decisions, he learned to wait, observe, and prepare carefully. His patience became one of the strongest weapons he possessed. Many people think of patience as weakness because it is often confused with inactivity or fear. However, true patience is not about doing nothing. It is about maintaining self-control, staying focused, and continuing to work quietly toward a goal even when results are not immediate. The prison escapee demonstrated this kind of patience perfectly. He did not rush blindly toward freedom. He understood that one careless move could lead to punishment, failure, or even death. Life inside prison was extremely difficult. Every day felt repetitive and exhausting. The environment was designed to make prisoners emotionally unstable and mentally tired. In such conditions, many people became impatient. Some acted recklessly because they could no longer tolerate waiting. Others gave up completely because they believed freedom would never come. The escapee avoided both extremes. He neither rushed nor surrendered. Instead, he chose discipline and timing. Patience allowed him to study his environment carefully. He spent long periods observing guard routines, prison schedules, weaknesses in security, and changes in behavior around him. These details may have seemed small or unimportant to others, but for him they were valuable pieces of information. Without patience, he would never have gathered the knowledge needed to plan successfully. Another important aspect of patience is emotional control. Fear and frustration often push people into making poor decisions. The escapee understood that emotions can become dangerous when they overpower logic. He trained himself to remain calm even during moments of uncertainty and stress. This emotional patience helped him think clearly while others lost control under pressure. Patience also gave him the ability to accept slow progress. Many people become discouraged when they do not see immediate results. They expect success to happen quickly and lose motivation when challenges appear. The escapee understood that meaningful achievements often require time. He accepted that freedom would not come overnight. Instead of becoming frustrated by delays, he used every day as another opportunity to prepare himself mentally and strategically. The story reveals that patience is closely connected to wisdom. Wise people understand that timing can determine success or failure. Even the best plan can collapse if executed too early or too late. The escapee knew that he needed the perfect moment to act. This required tremendous discipline because waiting is often harder than taking action. Human beings naturally want quick solutions to painful situations, especially when they are suffering. Yet the escapee resisted this urge because he valued long-term success over temporary emotional relief. Patience also strengthened his resilience. During his imprisonment, there were likely moments when he felt exhausted, hopeless, or discouraged. Waiting for years while holding onto a dream of freedom required enormous inner strength. Many people lose hope when progress feels slow. The escapee continued believing in his goal despite uncertainty. His patience protected him from giving up during difficult periods. This lesson applies strongly to everyday life. In modern society, people are often encouraged to seek instant results. Technology, social media, and fast lifestyles have made many individuals impatient. People want success, wealth, recognition, and happiness immediately. When things do not happen quickly, frustration grows. However, the prison escapee's story reminds us that lasting success usually requires time, effort, and endurance. Students must be patient while learning difficult subjects. Athletes spend years training before achieving greatness. Businesses often struggle for a long time before becoming successful. Personal growth also takes patience because changing habits and building confidence cannot happen instantly. The story teaches that patience is not wasted time. It is part of the process that creates strength and readiness. Another important lesson is that patience helps people avoid unnecessary mistakes. Impulsive decisions are often driven by emotion rather than careful thinking. The escapee knew that impatience could expose his plans and destroy his chance of freedom. By waiting carefully, he reduced risks and improved his chances of success. This ability to delay action until the right moment showed maturity and intelligence. Patience also develops mental toughness. Waiting for something important tests a person's character. It forces individuals to remain committed even when progress is invisible. The escapee likely experienced long periods where nothing seemed to change, yet he continued preparing quietly. This consistency separated him from those who lost focus or motivation. The story also highlights the connection between patience and confidence. Impatient people often panic because they fear failure or uncertainty. Patient individuals trust the process and remain calm under pressure. The escapee's patience reflected his confidence that preparation and timing would eventually create an opportunity for freedom. He did not allow temporary setbacks to destroy his belief in the future. Another powerful aspect of patience is its relationship with self-discipline. Discipline means controlling desires and emotions in order to achieve a greater goal. The escapee disciplined himself daily. He resisted frustration, controlled fear, and avoided reckless behavior. His patience was not passive waiting. It was active preparation supported by discipline and focus. The story also demonstrates that patience can create opportunities that impatience destroys. By observing carefully over time, the escapee noticed patterns and weaknesses that others ignored. These opportunities only became visible because he was willing to wait and pay attention. Many people miss opportunities because they are too distracted, emotional, or impatient to recognize them. Patience also protects people from hopelessness. During long struggles, it is easy to believe that nothing will ever improve. The escapee refused to think this way. He understood that situations can change gradually and unexpectedly. His patience allowed him to continue believing in freedom even when circumstances seemed impossible. The escapee's journey proves that patience is not simply about enduring time. It is about using time wisely. Every moment he spent waiting was also a moment spent learning, observing, planning, and strengthening himself. Instead of allowing time to weaken him, he turned time into an advantage. His story teaches that patience is one of the most powerful qualities a person can develop because it combines wisdom, emotional control, discipline, and resilience. In a world where many people seek quick results, the prison escapee showed that true success often belongs to those who are willing to wait, prepare, and act only when the right moment arrives. One of the most inspiring lessons in the story of the world's greatest prison escapee is that his true greatness was not proven only by escaping prison, but by what he chose to do after gaining freedom. Many people achieve success and then become consumed by pride, revenge, selfishness, or the desire for power. However, the escapee showed that real greatness is measured not by victory itself, but by the character a person displays after victory. Escaping from one of the most secure prisons in the world was already an extraordinary achievement. It required intelligence, patience, courage, discipline, and mental strength. Yet after finally reaching freedom, the escapee faced another important choice. How would he use his freedom? This decision revealed the true nature of his character. A person who suffers deeply often develops anger and bitterness. Years of imprisonment, humiliation, and pain could easily have filled him with hatred. Many people in such situations would seek revenge against those they believed had wronged them. Others might use their freedom selfishly, focusing only on their own comfort and survival. The escapee, however, chose a different path. Instead of allowing bitterness to control his life, He used his experiences to help others who were struggling with their own forms of imprisonment. This choice demonstrated emotional maturity and wisdom. True greatness is not about proving superiority over others. It is about using strength responsibly. The escapee understood suffering because he had lived through it himself. His hardships gave him empathy for people who felt trapped by fear, poverty, failure, hopelessness, or injustice. Rather than ignoring the pain of others, he dedicated himself to inspiring and guiding them. The story teaches an important truth. Success alone does not automatically make someone great. Many people achieve wealth, fame, or power, but still lack kindness, humility, or purpose. Real greatness comes from how success changes a person's behavior and values. Some individuals become arrogant after success because they believe they are more important than others. The escapee avoided this mistake. His freedom did not make him selfish. Instead, it made him more compassionate and understanding. Another important aspect of true greatness is humility. Despite accomplishing something extraordinary, the escapee understood that he was still human. Humility allowed him to stay grounded and focused on helping others rather than constantly seeking attention or praise. Humble people recognize that success is not only about personal achievement, but also about contributing positively to the lives of others. The story also highlights the idea of purpose. Before escaping, his purpose was survival and freedom. After escaping, his purpose became larger than himself. He realized that his experiences could become a source of inspiration for others facing difficult situations. This shift from self-focused survival to service for others reflected a deeper level of greatness. Purpose gives meaning to success. Without purpose, achievements often feel empty over time. People may gain money, status, or recognition, yet still feel unsatisfied because they lack meaningful direction. The escapee transformed his painful experiences into lessons that could guide others. In doing so, he gave his suffering meaning and turned his story into something valuable beyond his personal victory. Another lesson from this key point is that true greatness requires forgiveness and emotional strength. Holding on to hatred can imprison a person mentally even after physical freedom is achieved. The escapee understood that revenge would only continue the cycle of pain and bitterness. By refusing to let hatred dominate his future, he achieved a deeper form of freedom. This emotional freedom allowed him to focus on growth, healing, and helping others rather than remaining trapped by anger. The story also demonstrates leadership. Great leaders are not defined only by their achievements, but by their ability to inspire others. The escapee became a symbol of resilience and hope because people saw strength in his actions and choices. His journey showed others that difficult circumstances do not have to destroy the human spirit. Through his example, he encouraged people to believe that change and freedom are possible. This lesson applies strongly to everyday life. Many people work hard to achieve success in school, careers, sports, or personal goals. However, the real test comes after success is achieved. Some individuals forget their values once they gain power or recognition. Others become disconnected from the struggles of ordinary people. The story reminds us that achievements should strengthen our humanity rather than weaken it. True greatness also involves responsibility. Success gives people influence, and influence can either help or harm others. The escapee chose to use his influence positively. He understood that his story had the power to motivate people who felt hopeless. Instead of wasting his freedom on selfish pursuits, he used his experiences to encourage resilience, courage, and self-belief. Another powerful aspect of this lesson is the idea that suffering can create wisdom. Difficult experiences often teach lessons that comfort and privilege cannot. The escapee's years in prison gave him a deep understanding of human pain, fear, endurance, and hope. Instead of becoming emotionally hardened by these experiences, he allowed them to make him wiser and more compassionate. The story also reveals that greatness is connected to legacy. Many people are remembered only for temporary achievements, but those who positively impact others leave lasting legacies. The escapee story became meaningful not only because he escaped prison, but because his actions afterward inspired others to escape their own mental and emotional prisons. His legacy extended far beyond his personal success. Another important lesson is that freedom carries responsibility. After gaining freedom, the escapee could have lived only for himself. Instead, he recognized that freedom also gave him the opportunity to create positive change. He understood that surviving hardship creates an obligation to help those who are still struggling whenever possible. The story challenges modern ideas about success, which often focus only on money, fame, or personal gain. The escapee's journey teaches that true success is connected to character, compassion, and purpose. A person's achievements become truly meaningful when they are used to uplift others rather than simply glorify oneself. His story proves that greatness is not measured only by escaping difficult situations, but by the kind of person someone becomes afterward. Real greatness appears when success does not destroy humility, kindness, or humanity. It is shown when a person chooses wisdom over revenge, service over selfishness, and purpose over pride. One of the most powerful ideas in the story of the world's greatest prison escapee is that not all prisons are made of concrete walls, locked doors, and metal bars. Some of the strongest prisons are invisible. They exist in the mind, emotions, fears, and beliefs of people. These invisible prisons can control lives just as strongly as physical imprisonment, and in many cases, they are even more difficult to escape. The prison escapee understood this truth deeply. Although he was physically trapped inside a prison, he realized that many people outside the prison walls were also trapped in different ways. Some people lived in fear every day. Others were trapped by hopelessness, insecurity, guilt, failure, poverty, or the opinions of society. The difference was that their prisons could not be seen with the eyes. Invisible prisons are dangerous because people often become so accustomed to them that they stop recognizing them as prisons. Over time, fear and doubt begin to feel normal. A person who constantly hears negative words may eventually believe they are worthless or incapable. Someone who fails repeatedly may begin to believe success is impossible. These thoughts slowly create mental barriers that limit growth and freedom. Fear is one of the most common invisible prisons. Fear can stop people from taking opportunities, expressing themselves, or following their dreams. Many individuals avoid challenges not because they lack ability, but because they are afraid of failure, rejection, or criticism. Fear convinces people to remain inside their comfort zones even when they are unhappy. In this way, fear becomes a prison that quietly controls decisions and limits potential. Another invisible prison is self-doubt. Self-doubt weakens confidence and destroys motivation. When people constantly question their abilities, they often stop trying before they even begin. The prison escapee refused to let self-doubt control him. Even when surrounded by impossible circumstances, he continued believing that freedom was possible. This belief gave him the strength to keep planning and preparing while others surrendered mentally. Society can also create invisible prisons through pressure and expectations. Many people feel trapped by the need to meet certain standards or gain approval from others. They fear being judged, criticized, or misunderstood. As a result, they hide their true identities and suppress their dreams. Some individuals choose careers, lifestyles, or behaviors based on what society expects rather than what truly fulfills them. This creates emotional imprisonment because people begin living for acceptance instead of authenticity. The story also highlights poverty as an invisible prison for many people around the world. Poverty does not only limit financial opportunities, it can also affect confidence, education, and hope for the future. People who grow up in difficult environments are often told directly or indirectly that they cannot achieve more. Over time, these messages can create mental barriers stronger than physical limitations. The prison escapee story reminds us that circumstances should not define a person's future completely. Past failures can become another invisible prison. Many people carry painful memories of mistakes, disappointments, or missed opportunities. Instead of learning from these experiences, they allow them to shape their identity negatively. A person who fails once may begin believing they will always fail. This mindset creates emotional chains that prevent future growth. The escapee showed the opposite attitude. He did not allow hardship or suffering to destroy his belief in possibility. Another important invisible prison is hopelessness. Hopelessness removes motivation and energy from life. When people believe nothing will improve, they stop trying to change their situation. This mental surrender is extremely powerful because it destroys ambition before action even begins. Inside prison, many individuals became hopeless because they accepted their suffering as permanent. The escapee resisted this mental trap by continuing to imagine freedom despite difficult conditions. The story also reveals how negative environments can strengthen invisible prisons. Constant negativity, criticism, and discouragement affect the human mind deeply. If people are surrounded by individuals who constantly focus on failure and limitations, they may begin thinking the same way. The escapee protected his mindset carefully because he understood that mental survival was essential. He refused to absorb hopelessness from his environment. Invisible prisons are often strengthened by routine and comfort. Many people remain trapped in situations they dislike simply because change feels frightening. Even when opportunities for growth exist, fear of uncertainty keeps them stuck. The prison escapee understood that freedom required risk, courage, and willingness to face the unknown. He accepted uncertainty because remaining mentally trapped was worse than facing danger. Another important lesson is that invisible prisons can affect people of all backgrounds. Wealth, fame, and success do not guarantee inner freedom. Some wealthy individuals are trapped by anxiety or loneliness. Some successful people are imprisoned by pressure and expectations. Others are trapped by addiction, insecurity, or emotional pain despite appearing successful externally. This shows that invisible prisons are universal human struggles. The story teaches that awareness is the first step toward freedom. A person cannot escape a prison they do not recognize. Many people continue living under the control of fear, negativity, or insecurity without realizing how much these forces influence their choices. The escapee recognized the mental dangers around him and actively fought against them. He understood that protecting his thoughts was just as important as planning his physical escape. Another important aspect of invisible prisons is that they often grow stronger through repetition. Negative thoughts repeated daily become beliefs. Beliefs shape actions, and actions shape life outcomes. Someone who repeatedly tells themselves they are weak or incapable may eventually stop trying entirely. The prison escapee fought against this process by constantly holding on to hope and possibility in his mind. The story also demonstrates that invisible prisons can only be broken through courage and persistence. Escaping fear, doubt, or hopelessness is not easy because these struggles exist internally. Unlike physical walls, mental barriers cannot simply be broken overnight. They require self-awareness, discipline, patience, and determination. The escapee's journey symbolized this inner battle perfectly. Another lesson from this key point is the importance of mindset in achieving freedom. Two people can live in the same difficult situation, yet one remains trapped mentally while the other finds strength and purpose. The difference often lies in perspective and belief. The escapee's mental resilience allowed him to see possibilities where others saw only limitations. The story ultimately reminds us that many of the greatest battles in life happen inside the human mind. Invisible prisons may not have guards or locked doors, but they can still prevent people from living fully. Fear, self-doubt, hopelessness, social pressure, and negative thinking can quietly control lives for years if left unchallenged. The prison escapee became extraordinary because he escaped both forms of imprisonment. He refused to allow physical confinement to destroy his inner freedom, and he showed others that true liberation begins when a person decides not to surrender mentally to fear, doubt, or hopelessness. One of the most powerful and inspiring lessons in the story of the world's greatest prison escapee is that every transformation begins with belief. Before freedom became a reality, it first existed as an idea in his mind. Long before he escaped the prison walls physically, he believed that escape was possible. This belief became the foundation for every action, every plan, and every sacrifice he made. Human beings are strongly influenced by what they believe about themselves and their future. Belief shapes thoughts, decisions, emotions, and behavior. A person who believes success is impossible will often stop trying before truly beginning. On the other hand, someone who believes change is possible gains the motivation to continue even during difficult times. The prison escapee understood this truth clearly. Even when surrounded by hopelessness, he protected his belief in freedom because he knew that once belief dies, action and determination soon disappear as well. Inside the prison, many people lost hope over time. Harsh conditions, constant control, and repeated disappointment convinced them that freedom was impossible. Slowly, they accepted their situation mentally. This mental surrender became more powerful than the physical prison itself. The escapee refused to surrender in this way. Although he faced the same difficult environment, he chose to think differently. He believed that his current condition was temporary rather than permanent. Belief gave him emotional strength during moments of suffering. Every difficult situation tests a person's faith in the future. There were likely moments when the escapee felt fear, exhaustion, loneliness, or uncertainty. Yet his belief kept him moving forward. Even when he could not see immediate progress, he trusted that preparation and patience would eventually create an opportunity for freedom. Another important lesson from this story is that belief often comes before evidence. Many people wait to see proof before they believe something is possible. The escapee did the opposite. He believed first, even when there was little evidence supporting his dream. This belief allowed him to continue preparing while others gave up. If he had depended only on visible signs of success, he might have lost hope like many around him. Belief also changes the way people see obstacles. Individuals who lack belief often view challenges as proof that success is impossible. However, people with strong belief see challenges as temporary difficulties that can be overcome. The escapee faced enormous obstacles, but instead of treating them as final barriers, he viewed them as problems to solve. His mindset transformed obstacles into opportunities for learning and preparation. The story teaches that belief is closely connected to courage. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means continuing forward despite fear. The escapee certainly understood the risks involved in pursuing freedom. Failure could lead to severe punishment or death. Yet his belief in the possibility of change gave him the courage to keep trying. Without belief, fear would likely have controlled his actions completely. Another important aspect of belief is self-confidence. The escapee trusted his ability to think, plan, and survive under pressure. This confidence was not based on arrogance, but on preparation and mental discipline. People who believe in themselves are more likely to take action because they trust their capacity to face challenges. Self-belief creates resilience because it helps individuals recover from setbacks rather than becoming permanently discouraged. This lesson applies strongly to everyday life. Many people remain trapped in situations they dislike because they no longer believe improvement is possible. A student may believe they are not intelligent enough to succeed. A worker may believe they can never achieve a better future. Someone who has failed repeatedly may begin believing that failure defines their identity permanently. These beliefs quietly shape behavior and limit growth. The prison escapee story reminds us that change often begins internally before it appears externally. Before circumstances improve, the mind must first accept the possibility of improvement. This internal shift creates motivation, determination, and willingness to take action. A person who believes change is possible starts searching for opportunities instead of excuses. Belief also affects perseverance. Difficult journeys require sustained effort over long periods. Without belief, people lose motivation quickly when progress becomes slow or painful. The escapee's belief in freedom allowed him to remain patient and disciplined despite years of suffering. His belief gave meaning to his preparation and strengthened his ability to endure hardship. Another important lesson is that beliefs can either empower or imprison people. Positive beliefs create confidence, hope, and ambition. Negative beliefs create fear, doubt, and limitation. The escapee carefully protected his thoughts because he understood that hopeless thinking could destroy his chances of survival emotionally and mentally. He refused to allow negative beliefs to control his future.